Hello, my name is Concept, and I like flowers. Now I've played Deltarune for a while, specifically the Chapter 1 and 2 era, but for those who don't know what Deltarune is, then let me explain it real quick. Deltarune is an RPG made by Toby Fox, the creator of Undertale. You follow Chris, Susie, and Ralsei as they adventure through dark worlds trying to seal dark fountains in order to stop an event known as the Roaring from happening. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's talk about Chapter 5. So, we start off with Chris coming back to his room after being somewhere we don't know. Possibly the shelter, but that's up for debate. Chris is looking rather green, which is probably caused by the fact that Chris spent pretty much the entire night without their soul. But after they get their soul back, we take back control and help our mom after Sans befriended her. Then we find Susie at Castletown getting ready for her date with Noelle. We even get to choose her outfit. I gave her a top hat. I even got to see a cutscene with Tenna and the mics, and got some more lore about Tenna and who I would assume to be Spamton, where Tenna says that after Spamton left, everything felt fake. I haven't given Tenna away yet, so he's still in Castletown. He got a room, and if you talk to him, he talks about how he wants to go to a new house, so I guess I gotta do that at some point. But besides that, there's a church area, and the dojo's been updated. Also, you can give Sham the shadow crystal you got from Gerson, and he finally tells you what they are. He says that they're fragments of broken dreams, which was kinda interesting because it looked like the night was covered in shadow crystals, which I always thought was the case, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. It also raises the question about the secret bosses, but I'll save that for a separate video. Anyways, now we can talk about the festival. The first thing I did was go to that booth where that one guy was selling fried octopus. I didn't realize till after that we didn't see Onion Sign at all this chapter. Oh, and also, if you give some octopus to Susie, she says that it tastes like onion, so do with that what you will. After that, I went to the Ferris wheel, where there was some weird dialogue about not being able to remember who ran the wheel last year. I don't really know what that means, so I'll leave that up to you to decipher. I played a few more games, and then might have hooked up Caddy and Pizza Pants. I was really confused about that whole scene. Anyways, after that, all I did was go to the lake, where there was some really nice cutscenes between Noelle and Susie. I thought all the interactions between them were really nice, but after Noelle gets a phone call from her mom saying that her dad's fallen down, she has to leave. I don't know what that means, but I think it's likely that Rudy won't live to see Chapter 6. So now, let's talk about this chapter's Dark World. I mean, there's a lot to say. First, I want to say that I wasn't really expecting this whole anime-style opening to see this chapter's boss, Flowery, which to me went from annoying to amazing pretty fast. To me, he seemed like this kind of anti-hero where he was doing good things for an ultimately evil purpose. But in the end, he was only trying to help Asgore after all the help that they were given. Speaking of they, we got to see what some of the soul colors could have been like. With all the flowers in Asgore's shop paralleling the souls in the Undertale, it was only a matter of time before we got to see them as Darkners. I'm surprised nobody predicted this sooner. It feels like it would have made sense, but nobody really seemed to think it would happen. My favorite souls would have to be green and yellow. I love all the interactions between Green and everyone, and she really feels like the mom of the flowers, and I really like that. Now I gotta say, when I first saw Yellow, I thought he was going to be the secret boss. The friend on the inside, if you will. But come to realize that he was the yellow flower after I met Aqua and Seth. Which, let me just say, it took me too long on the Aqua fight, but it was all worth it to get that feather. When you get the feather, you can do this cool platforming type style, which kinda reminded me of Hollow Knight. If Toby made a game that was just that little mini game, I would play it non-stop. I really hope there's more stuff like that in future chapters. Now I'm going to talk about the secret boss for this chapter. As of writing this, I haven't yet beat it, but I'm sure I will soon. So, the way you get to this boss is by finding these pink orbs that give you pink coins. You can then use those coins to buy a pink key. Once you get the pink key, you have to go to this pink door and open it. Once inside, you'll find the secret boss, the pink flower. Well, it turns out that Asgore didn't have a pink flower, so she's a LARPer. Her fight is pretty cool. You don't get to use the pink soul mode, like you would expect, but we do get to see a new version of the purple soul. Her boss theme is pretty cool. It was nice to see the use of Vocaloids in Deltarune. Okay, I don't know if it's her, but is it supposed to be Hansune Miku? Let me know in the comments. Also, a thing I noticed was that Mew Mew, or Pink, kind of represents the dynamic between Chris and the soul. How we tell Chris to do this or do that, but Chris has their own likes and dislikes. And how we get ripped out of Chris, like how the ghost gets ripped out of Mew Mew doll. In a way, all of the secret bosses have some kind of parallels to Chris, but I'm saving that for a different video. Now, let's talk about the boss fight with Flowery. Oh my god, it's peak. For a long time I thought that Asgore was going to be the final boss of the chapter, like when he kicked us out of the dark world and told us not to come back. I thought we were going to find him at like the top of the castle and he was going to be all mad and try and fight us and the flowers were going to help him, but the actual boss just ended up being Flowery, which is cool in its own right. I mean, we got to fight him in the sky and the song Flower Man was amazing. From what the lyrics say, it's a song about the flowers, or just Flowery, wanting to help Asgore. Like, Asgore helped them. The actual fight gives us a new soul mode, which is the orange soul. It allows us to dash through blue attacks. I think I saw something like this in a friend concept battle. As the fight progresses, Flowery calls on different flowers to use their own attacks respectively. The end of the battle has us climbing a tower of thorns, kind of like in chapter 4. The battle ends in the style of those little mini games I talked about earlier, against Omega Flowery. I thought it was amazing. And it ended in this big dramatic strike where you have to time a hit just right. In the end, Asgore finds Chris and tells them about how he was the one who pushed Toriel away by trying to prove that what happened that day wasn't his fault, and that it was somehow connected to the Dark Worlds. After we say goodbye to all the flowers, we go and seal the Dark Fountain, but when we do, we're still in the Dark World. Turns out that when we were going to say goodbye, the knight snuck into the flower shop and made another fountain, which I guess would explain the whole 2 fountains thing we see in chapter 3. The knight then tries to take Asgore, but Flowery Loki saves the day by standing off against the knight, but he gets one-shotted by the knight and Asgore gets kidnapped. That cutscene really made me think about the relationship between Chris and the knight, like whether or not they're working together. Because think about it like this. We know that the knight is going to try and sacrifice Undyne, but the knight's first target wasn't her, it was Toriel. And now the knight has Asgore. So why would the knight try and take both of Chris's parental figures, aka the people he cares about, if they were working together? It just doesn't make sense to me. That's all I really wanted to talk about. I'm definitely going to have to make more than one video about Deltarune, so stay tuned for that. Anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.